Hi, welcome to Something to Talk About. My name is Taco, and I'm covering Aurane Waters again. Yeah, the Bastard of Driftmark. Probably one of the bigger characters, and it's. I covered him before, way back in the day, and this is giving it another shot. And you know how long this video is. I don't yet, but this is going to be a lot. Actually covering as much of their dialogue as possible nowadays is something that I do, where I don't just make a small summary where I try to cover literally everything. I made a lot of the decisions for those earlier characters. It was easy when I just what they did. But now that I try to cover them a lot more, they end up being big episodes, especially when I go on pointless rants like this. If you don't know what's going on here, this is what's going on. Spoilers for the book and the show. That show is Game of Thrones. This is a character from the Song of Ice and Fire universe. And it's my beard week. He doesn't have a beard. This isn't part, I think he does. I think they do mention that he has a beard at one point. But he's not part of Beard Week. Friday and Saturday are Beard Week, right? Covering Bloodbeard and Greenbeard. This isn't Aurane Beard. Bluebeard? Yeah, you'd probably be Bluebeard. All right, cool. Let's get moving. Who's Aurane Waters? Aurane Waters, called the Bastard of Driftmark, is a bastard member of House Velaryon. He is the half-brother of Monford Velaryon, Lord of the Tides, Master of Driftmark. Aurane is lean with silver gold hair and gray-green eyes. He has a cleft chin and has a beard. All right, never mind. He does have a beard. All right, there you go. Cool. Still doesn't count for Beard Week. His name's not Beard. You guys get it. Bastard of Driftmark. He has a dry wit and is considered arrogant. Okay. Aurane's appearance reminds Cersei of Rhaegar Targaryen. Don't worry, we're definitely getting into that. Although Aurane's face, so I'm going to say the name of the planet Uranus, whatever. I say Aurane Waters. Is that where we're going with the name? They're going to change it to urine. No, that joke doesn't work. Uranus instead of Uranus, but that doesn't work because urine's a dirtier word than urine. All right. Backed up to a weird pun there. Okay. But Urane's face is narrower, and Rhaegar had a deep purple eyes. The band Deep Purple were inside his eyes. It was crazy. Cersei finds Aurane to be handsome and dashing with a wicked smile. Do I have a wicked smile? All right. House Velaryon. So keep in mind, this isn't Aurane Velaryon. This is Aurane Waters. This is a bastard guy. But, this is still going to cover the house. Why not? House Velaryon of Driftmark rules the island of Driftmark, the largest island in Blackwater Bay in the Crownlands. Their castles include Driftmark and High Tide. The head of House Velaryon is titled Lord of the Tides, the Master of Driftmark, and the Master of Driftmark. The Velaryons, are sworn to Dragonstone. Their arms are a silver seahorse on sea green. Their words are the old, the true, the brave, the Navy. Wait, what's it? The Navy few and proud? Or no, that's the Marines. Never mind. That joke doesn't work. House Velaryon is of Valyrian descent, and its members often... they often have Valyrian features, and some have blue or gray-green eyes. I'm assuming that's only there for this guy. Isn't it crazy? I think I've only covered 2 Velaryons, him included, and he's a Waters. So yeah, I did let's talk about the difference for Laenor Velaryon, and that's it. Wow, maybe I'll cover Monford one day. He's not a big character, but I've covered small characters before. Smaller characters. I usually cover small characters. It's all up to how you see it. The War of the Five Kings. Being a house from the Narrow Sea and having been an ally of Dragonstone for centuries, the Velaryons House Velaryon declares for Stannis Baratheon of Dragonstone during the War of the Five Kings. However, Lord Monford Velaryon threatens to take his forces home if they don't strike soon. Yeah, the entire time pre-Blackwater, Monford Velaryon's very, let's attack. Why aren't we attacking? Can we attack? What about tomorrow? You want to attack? He's very let's get in there. The Monford wants Stannis to sail from Dragonstone to King's Landing to challenge King Joffrey, but Stannis instead goes to Shipbreaker Bay against his brother Renly. During the Battle of the Blackwater, Lord of Velaryon's Pride of Driftmark, which is the name of the boat, I'm assuming, crashes between two Lannister river runners, and it is later set ablaze from wildfire. So he dead. With his half-brother killed in the Battle of the Blackwater, Aurane is captured by the Lannister forces. At court after the battle, Sansa watches a long procession of heroes and then a long procession of captives being presented before the king. After the heroes were brought in and given lands and prizes and titles, the captives were ushered in next, including Aurane Waters. Yeah, I didn't know if he had like a scene there, like if he had any dialogue. I went back and listened to that pretty much entire chapter just for his name to be said once. Oh, man. All right, here we go. Cersei's favorite. Aurane shares a cup of wine with Eleanor Tyrell during the wedding of Tommen I and Marjorie Tyrell. At the wedding, Queen Regent Cersei refuses to dance with anyone, but takes note of how attractive the Bastard of Driftmark, Aurane Waters, is. This isn't the first time she noticed him. The lean young man with gray-green eyes and long silver gold hair. The first time she seen him, she almost thought that Rhaegar has come out of his grave. She tells herself that it is just his hair. His face is too narrow, and he has that cleft in his chin. In his chin. She comes to terms multiple times with the fact she doesn't look like Rhaegar. Isn't like once. She keeps giving him that and then goes, he's not as cute as Rhaegar. Like every time she gets close, she has that realization like 3 times. It's really funny. Believing that Aurane desires her, Cersei grants him the position of Grand Admiral, which is formerly Master of Ships, but she like changes all the names, right? Like instead of Master of Laws, it's like Judiciary, whatever, you know, like she changes all the names, right? That's not what it is. It's like Judicar. I don't know. I don't know the names. I don't even know what I'm trying to say. But yeah, she wanted like a cool different names instead of all the masters. Along with so he joins Tommen's small council along with other new members, Orton Merryweather, Giles Rosby, and Harry Swift. He receives the honorary title of Lord, but no lands. It's just honorary. Jaime does not approve of the appointment. Don't worry, we'll get to it. The day that they bring Tywin's body back west, so this is like the big procession back to Casterly Rock. Jaime talks with Cersei, saying, "There is talk that you mean to make Aurane Waters Master of Ships." And she says, "Has someone been informing on me? Waters is suited for the office and has spent half his life on ships." Jaime says, half his life? He cannot be more than 20. Well, maybe, maybe just 10 years. That's still a long time. Cersei corrects him, saying that he is 22. Thank you very much. And that their father was only 21 when he was made Hand of the King, and that Aurane is strong and vigorous. He recommends that she'd be better off if she just names Paxter Redwine, but Cersei freaks out and says she will not put any Tyrell vassals on the small council. Yeah, duh. Paxter Redwine is, of course, who she should make Master of Ships. He already has a fleet. He's Paxter frickin' Redwine. If you're not a Valyrian or Velaryon, you're a Redwine. And he's technically not a Velaryon. You should make a Redwine. And I agree. It's Paxter. But, Paxter doesn't look like Rhaegar. Paxter's got red hair. All right, anyways. His first council meeting. At his first small council meeting, Tommen does not show up, and Jaime is getting fitted for a new golden hand. So Cersei throws some shade, saying Jaime would be as bored as Tommen, and Aurane laughs at that. Yeah, I love that in just because Aurane's laughing at Jaime. She's like, everyone's like, will the king be joining us? And she's like, the king doesn't really, he's just a kid and he would get bored. He just like stamping stuff. And they're like, what about Jaime? And she's like, it's the same. It is pretty funny. The council first discusses the unrest in Sunspear and Prince Doran's letter that the Doran of Dorne, that he imprisoned the Sand Snakes. Cersei knows that they are sending Balon to Dorne with Gregor Clegane's head, and as promised, Harry's asked if Gregor is dead, and Aurane mocks him by saying, "I would think so, my lord. I am told removing the head from the body is often mortal." I've done a video for Harry Swift, but I kind of forgot how just dumb Harry's is. But yeah, it's pretty great where he's just like, it's like no one, I guess, have talked about how Gregor is dead. Although, is he really dead? And they're like, yeah, we're gonna send the head to Dorne, and then Harry's is like, is he dead? And Urane's like, one would think. Turns out removing the head kills you, you idiot. All right. Harry's brings up. Wait, are we still there? Oh wait, no. Yeah. So Cersei then favors his joke with a smile. She laughs at the removing the head is often mortal, because she likes a bit of wit, and as well as she is not, as long as she is not the target. Yeah, that's a line for the books where she's like, oh, she likes a bit of wit as long as she's not the target. She likes people making fun of people as long as it's not her. You can make jokes, just not about me. I'm not going to a roast. Imagine if Cersei went to a roast. She would have everybody killed. Harry's brings up the continuing influx of, quote, sparrows into King's Landing, stirring up populace with their preaching of doom and demon worship. To this topic, Aurane looks bored, and Cersei just checks him out. Sure, his eyes and hair are wrong, but he's still hot, and that's what she thinks. She wonders if he would shave his beard for her, and she is sure that the bastard wants her. Yeah, she just like, they're talking about like, oh, sparrows, blah blah blah, and she's just like looking, just like, man, if he shaved, he wants me. I don't know, man. He's not the one who's giving you all these titles and checking you out constantly. It's the other way around there, essentially. So the next topic is the Lord's Declarant of the Vale, but they just decide to do nothing about that. And yeah, Aurane doesn't comment on that. I'm literally going topic to topic on this first one and only trying to just talk about the ones that he wants to talk about. And finally, he brings this up. Aurane says, might we discuss the fleet? Fewer than a dozen of our ships have survived the inferno at the Blackwater, but we must restore our strength at sea. And Harry Swift and agrees, and then they discuss an alliance with the Ironborn. Yeah. The three old dudes go off and ramble about Ironborn, and they're trying to remember Theon's name. It's pretty funny. Cersei says that she doesn't want to get in bed with squids. Yeah, me neither. That sounds really painful. Lord of Waters recommends that at least 10 new Dromans be built. Pycelle asks where they could get that money, and Giles Rosby just coughs a bunch. Thank you, Master of Coin. And trying to say no. Yeah. It's like, do we have the money? And then they look over and Giles like, no. He's trying to get, no, we do not. But he's just too busy coughing. And then he dies. Not in this scene, though. Cersei says that they will not pay the Faith or the Iron Bank, and they just want to use that money instead. So keep in mind, Aurane Waters wants 10 Dromans. And in order to get the money to build 10 Dromans, she doesn't pay the Iron Bank, and she wants to make a deal so she doesn't have to pay back what they owe the High Sparrow. Well, he's not the High Sparrow yet, the High Septum. So think about all the issues she has later on. The Iron Bank hasn't really had its due yet, and it will. They are working with Stannis, like Tychonosaurus is over there. Got a video for Tychonosaurus. But the entire thing about her getting in bed with the Sparrows and the Sparrows eventually turning on her, this entire religious coup, not a cue ball, coup, thank you very much, is because they needed 10 ships. That's hilarious. Oh my God. So much of what happens with Cersei later on is because they want to build, because Aurane Waters is handsome and he wants 10 ships. That's freaking hilarious. Okay. So where were they? So yeah, the High Lickspittles agree that they don't pay the Iron Bank at all, and Pycelle freaks out, but they just shut him up. After some talk about the Red Wedding, Aurane brings up the Golden Company has broken their contract with Myr. So he's like trying to bring up some important stuff, but yeah. They also discuss White Harbor and how Davos Seaworth is held there, and how Cersei told them to execute them. So then, so if you don't know what I'm talking about, Stannis's hand of the king is Davos, and Davos is at White Harbor, but they don't really kill him, but the crown's like, yeah, execute him. So Aurane makes a joke. He goes, Stannis will need another hand. The turnip knight, perhaps? And Harry's is confused and asks who the turnip knight is. So Aurane just ignores him and rolls his eyes. Oh my God, I forgot how funny Harry's being stupid is. And I've done a video for him. I think I left a lot of the dialogue out back then still. That now I'm just trying to do it so much more. But yeah, I love the idea of like, oh, the Onion Knight's gonna die? What next? A Turnip Knight? Harry Swift's like, who's this Turnip Knight? Is he any good? You an idiot. All right, I'll stop. Harry Swift is catching a lot of strays from me. I'm sorry, Harry's. So later when discussing the Wall and how Jon Snow is helping Stannis, Aurane suggests that the poachers and thieves be the oarsmen instead of it being sent to the Wall. Yeah, why don't you just give me prisoners so they can be on my ships instead of being sent to the Wall? Is that kind of like thralls, kind of? No, not really. Qyburn suggests that they instead send 100 men and have a little mutiny at the Wall. That sounds fun. As they are about to end the meeting, Aurane adds that there have been reports of dragons seen in the east, and no one cares. Aurane's trying to say the big stuff. No one's listening. The Ironborn. A later session. So remember, all these are based around the small council. Grand Maester Pycelle disagrees with Aurane's plan to captain the Dromons with younger men. I don't know why I'm adding a D. Dromons. Drummond, not Drommonds. I don't know why I do that. With younger men, rather than veterans of the Blackwater. Are there still veterans of the Blackwater? I mean, I know there are the ones who like fought the city gate and, like on the ground. But the ones on the ships, like a lot of them blew up, right? I'm just saying. Wouldn't they be a little burned? Cersei approves of Aurane's suggestion to name the new flagship Lord Tywin after her late father. Young King Tommen wants to name one of the new Dromons after Moonboy, but later decides to call it Princess Marcella instead after Lord Waters advises him not to be naming a ship after a fool, especially not a fool who is banging Cersei. All right. Marjorie is fuming. This is a whole other. Now we're jumping to another one. At Cersei and her council that the Iron Throne must. She uses the word must respond at once at the taking of the shields by the Ironborn. If you don't know what I'm talking about, Euron Greyjoy wins the King's Moot. He completely steals the election over Gilbert Farwin, and then they go and attack the Reach. Most importantly, the Shield Isles, right? And they're really mad about it. All the Reach people, the Reachmen, if you will, like the Tyrells, are very upset. And but she uses the word must, and that really angers Cersei. You should be doing that. Cersei does not appreciate the young queen's tone, or the fact she says must. Harry's and Orton Merryweather doubt her claim that the Ironborn have 1,000 ships, and then think they counted double. Aurane points out that 1,000 is still 500, and that's still a lot. And only the Red Wines could fight against something like that, 500 ships. You need the Red Wine fleet. Harry's asks about the Dromons, saying that the long ships could fight them easily, or yeah, cannot fight them easily. Like long ships are going to lose the dramas, right? Saying that King Robert's hammer is the mightiest warship in Westeros. And Aurane says she was. Sweet Cersei will be her equal once complete, and Lord Tywin will be twice the size of either. Only half are fitted out, however, and none are fully crewed. Even when they are, the numbers will be greatly against us. The common longship is small compared to our galleys. That is true, but the Ironmen have longer ships as well. What is that noise? Give me a sec here. There was straight up just a bird right in my window, just squeaking. So sorry, that was loud. Maybe you guys couldn't hear it. I don't know. The numbers will be greatly against us. The common longship is small compared to the galleys, but it's still true that the Ironmen have larger ships as well. Yeah. So they're like, that's a lot of ships. They really have 1,000 ships. That's insane. Siege on Dragonstone. This is still the same console. I'm not jumping over to a different one. Aurane goes on to say that the Ironborn fleet are made for battle and they have equal or better ships. Cersei hates the words that Marjorie is using, and then she calls the Iron Islands or the Shield Isles rocks, and now that pisses Marjorie off. And that sets the little queen off, and Loras Tyrell interjects as his sister seethes, stating that his brothers have the men, but not the ships, suggesting that they take the Red Wine fleet from the siege at Dragonstone. And Aurane says, if Lord Redwine sells his ships away, how are they going to supply the men on Dragonstone? Without the armor galleries? Without the... I don't know what I was trying to say there. How are they going to maintain the siege at Storm's End? Laura says that the siege can resume later, and then Cersei cuts him off and tries to dismiss the Tyrells. Like, yeah, we're not listening to this. We're not ending any sieges. It sucks that your guys need ships, but no. But Loras steps forward and asks leave to assault Dragonstone on his own, and it promises Cersei the castle within a fortnight. So pleased by this unexpected, quote, gift, Cersei grants him permission. After asking Aurane if he has a Draman to take him, and he says, sweet Cersei can take him, and then she kisses Loras and grants him good luck. So yeah, they're like, the Tyrells are like, dude, we're losing stuff. We're being attacked by Ironborn. They have 1,000 freaking ships. We have to do something. And it's like, well, you don't have any men. And it's like, no, we do. We just need the ships. Like, we have men. Both his two older brothers both have the guys, but they need ships. And it's like, all right, you guys are doing 2 like sieges right now. Can you pull the ships away from the Dragonstone one? And they're like, yeah, we're not doing that. So he's like, all right, why don't I go there, end the siege at Dragonstone, and then let's go. So that's what Loras is trying. And she's like, great idea. So yeah. Later, after Aurane has returned from Dragonstone, telling Cersei with a smile, Your Grace, Dragonstone is yours. She smiles and kisses his cheeks. She says that it's good news. This is good news. Indeed, because the Ironborn are getting bolder. Yeah, they're attacking, almost going to attack Old Town. Aurane reports Paxter Redwine was ready for the voyage. Yeah, so Paxter's about to head down there and take care of it all. The scene keeps going, though. Return from Dragonstone. So then when she asks about Loras, he then loses his smile and says, I never saw a braver knight, but he turned what could have been a bloodless victory into a slaughter. So yeah, so we already did, he brought Loras there. Loras attacks, and then even though it could have just been a siege, the fact that they had to attack, it's not. And a lot of people died, right? So he's like, it could have been bloodless. So he goes on to say that near 1,000 men are dead, but not just common men, but knights, including Loras, most likely Loras himself, who is grievously wounded. And he says his His wounds are grievous. He lost much of his blood, so much of his blood that the maesters cannot even leech him. So Cersei asks for all the details. I'm not going to tell you them right now. And then it sends to get some cheese and wine because, I mean, they might as well have a little lunch date, right? And as they talk, she thinks that he doesn't quite look like Rhaegar. And that Rhaegar was a man and this is just a boy. So, yeah, she's having the same thoughts. Like, maybe he doesn't look like Rhaegar. Ecstatic. Cersei has to deliver the news personally to Marjorie. And she tells Marjorie that her brother is a hero and lays dying after having boiling oil poured on him from the walls. The young queen is appalled by Cersei's description of his fate and commands Cersei to get out of her quarters. Cersei thinks Aurane covets Dragonstone, but feels Rosby is a more fitting after the death of Giles Rosby. Yeah, why don't we just give him Rosby? So, yeah. I know there is like a fan theory, and I'm not going to talk about it later. That's not what I'm going to discuss afterwards. That Loras is alive and that this is all just a ruse, that he never actually got injured. I know that's definitely a fan theory. And, I don't have enough evidence either way. I'm just going to kind of take it on face value. Of course, you're about to learn that we can't really trust Aurane, so we don't know how much he's been lying. And, of course, there have been people who go through all these small council meetings to see where his allegiance lies, and that it is most likely he's maybe working with the Aegon the Sixth guys. That's why he knows about the Golden Company and such. I'm not gonna really speculate on any of that, and also I still have one more slide, so I just wanted to say there are people who think that he is lying about Loras being injured. But, yeah, I don't know. Maybe he is, maybe he's not. Lord of the Waters. On the day that Queen Marjorie and her cousins have been imprisoned at the Great Sept of Baelor for high treason, Cersei speaks to Aurane. And because of the increasing unrest in King's Landing after the arrest of Queen Marjorie Tyrell, Aurane tells Queen Cersei, "If it please your grace, I will launch the rest of your new Drummonds." Maybe it does have a D. I've definitely spelt it with a D more than I did not. Now somebody's telling me in the comments. That's fine. I'm not the best speller. The sight of them upon the Blackwater with King Tommen's banner flying from the mast will remind the city who rules here and keep them safe should the mobs decide to run riot again. And she likes this plan. So what he's really saying, what the undercurrent here is, they don't want the Tyrells to march on the city because Marjorie is being held by the faith. She doesn't want Mace freaking out. So he thinks having these huge ships in the bay with the Baratheons/Lannisters banner will remind people that this isn't a Tyrell city and back off. That's what they're kind of getting at. So yeah. However, that very day, she is also taken captive by the faith, and then 2 days into her imprisonment, Cersei is visited by Qyburn, who tells the queen that Lord Waters has fled the capital with these new ships after her arrest, and yeah, he took to sea. Sir Harry Swift fears that Aurane will rejoin Stannis, but Pycelle thinks he's just going to become a pirate in the Stepstones. Which one did he do? So we do know from a Winds of Winter sample chapter, so keep in mind this is a sample chapter, this isn't canon yet, but according to Valena Tolan, a new pirate king has set up in Torturer's Deep in the Stepstones, styling himself the Lord of the Waters and commanding triple-decked warships. So, like the big Drummonds, like he has huge ships. So a pirate has giant ships. That's a little crazy. Where did he get these ships? And then, of course, Lord of the Waters is a lot like Lord of the Tides, and his name, which is the Valyrian title, right? And his name is Aurane Waters, so Lord of the Waters. It's not hidden. Like, it's very, very possible that that's him. So that's all we got for him. So, yeah, I got a little slide here. Like I said, that's probably him. First off, it's pretty cut and dry that he is Lord of the Waters. He might not be Lord of the Waters, but, I mean, it's pretty suggested. So he charmed Cersei and got her to ignore the Iron Bank just to build him huge ships, and that takes and then he takes him away to be a pirate. So yeah, like literally so much of the issues that plaguing her with the sparrows, giving them a lot more power in order to like what I was saying earlier, she wants to end the debt that the crown has to the faith. So she empowers them to start the warrior sons again and start the poor fellows, pretty much just start the faith militant all up. It's all because of these ships and also pissing off the Iron Bank. So all that's just for these 10 ships, and Aurane steals them, which is kind of hilarious. So this is something I brought up on my first video for this guy a long time ago. But yeah, I love that just the memory of Lyanna Stark still haunts Robert, right? It's why Robert Baratheon was still so much of his character, is that he loved Lyanna. But also the ghost of Rhaegar, who Cersei wanted to marry, also makes her make awful decisions like trusting Aurane. So these two were so hot. Like Lyanna and Rhaegar were just the best. They were so cute that it still haunts the Seven Kingdoms. The Seven Kingdoms still makes bad decisions because of these dead people from like 20 years ago or whatever, 16 years ago, whatever it is, right? That's just crazy. I am not that attractive. I'm just saying right now, if I died today, queens wouldn't be making bad decisions because they still think I'm cute. That's not going to happen. If you need more Aurane, look no further. I actually give you two people to go check out. But go check out his series, The Lord of the Waters, is downright delightful. It's like credited kind of for like his first series that really took off. And of course, Glidus is one of the best. I'm talking about some fire creators out there. And the next guy I'm about to bring up is one of the best too, actually. Pretty much everybody but me is one of the best. But yeah, I love Glidus, and yeah, go check out his Lord of the Tide series. I believe it's 3 videos, but I'm just going off the top of my head. I will put the first one in the description. And yeah, tell him I sent you. And then if you want some Fantasy Haven, he has the next guy. Fantasy Haven's great too. He has a good vid called Aurane, the Sigma of Westeros. So I'll put links to the first Glidus vid in the description, and for the Sigma of Westeros from Fantasy Haven. And then tell them I sent you. Tell them Large Mar sent you. Tell them Taco sent you. There you guys go. 33 minutes. Let's end it before it gets to 35. Aurane Waters, great character. Yeah, I'm really happy that I made the decision to go back and remake a lot of these earlier videos, because I feel like there's so much more of this character, and also like Raleigh Duckfield, where I'm diving into them with such more detail that I'm really glad I'm going back and doing them. Like these are some of these characters that I covered early on are so good that I should have given them this big of a hunk earlier on. So yeah, that's all I got. Thank you, guys, for watching. Click like and subscribe, and yeah, thank you for all your support. And yeah, go check out Glidus's video for Lord of the Tides. I'll put the link for the first one in the description. And for Fantasy Haven's Sigma of Westeros, I'll put both of the links in the description. And yeah, peace.